What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 14th edition of the Main Event Mixer, brought to you by your friends at the Main Event Wrestling Network. Welcome, everybody. I'm Mr. Cincinnati, one half of the Wrestling Junkies podcast, and we are so excited to bring to you an esteemed panel of all of our main event friends. And I gotta say, I'm very excited for this one. It's been a while since we've gotten to chop it up. I'm joined, by four incredible people. I am joined by first the full-time part-timer, 1/3 of the Pod on the Mark boys, Mr. Ian Garvalia. I'm also joined by Jim Tucker, another member of the On the Mark podcast crew. It's great to see you boys. I'm also joined by Jay Gold of IW Guide, one of our newest podcasts on the Main Event Wrestling Network. And this jackass followed me onto the show. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
What's up?
Oh, no. Fuck you.
What's
Fuck you.
up?
Fuck you.
What's
No. This is not our show. This is not our show.
You understand I'm from New York, so none of that Philadelphia stuff flies at all over here.
I mean, they flew all over you, but it's fine.
I'm a Jets fan. I've already been miserable. My season's been over for months. Ugh, I can't
don't
Phillies.
Don't give him
like he was podcast dad looking like he was waiting under the ring.
The worst fan base in all of sports, Philadelphia. Oh boy.
I'm pretty sure the only winning franchise on this podcast now.
Yeah. I really, really hate that this is not our stream because I don't get to mute you, and I'm sick of this shit. I just didn't think this was supposed to be the one day that I wasn't supposed to have to deal with this. So,
shout out to Kyle Gagliardi in the background.
Producer. Yeah, there.
You know, he could be at your beck and call. He could be bribed to run a mute here. So. It's fine. Okay.
That's not something I should have to pay for, but yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Clock is ticking. Podcast that has about 10 minutes. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. We're going to talk a little bit of AEW Full Gear, but first we want to say thank you to our sponsors and our friends at Gorilla Press Apparel. Head over to GorillaPressApparel.BigCartel.com and use promo code MEM24 for 10% off of your order site-wide. They have got incredible t-shirts, hoodies, 3/4 lengths are fucking badass. If you're a wrestler, promoter, manager, referee, if you're in the industry and you need some merch for those tables on a Friday, Saturday through Thursday, whatever day of the week, if it ends in Y, need some merch for those tables, hit up Will on X at Gorilla Press APP. Thank you again. Make sure also following us at the Main Event Wrestling Network at @mainevent_net on all social media platforms. We are on the Tick and the Talk. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram. There's probably other ones that I'm forgetting. Maybe a Blue Sky. I don't know. And also, while you're at it, promoting the On the Mark Wrestling podcast, even though this is a joint Main Event Mixer with all of the shows here, we're going to go head over to On the Mark Wrestling podcast and use code XMIS for how much off of your order. Kyle, put it in the chat here so I can go ahead and put that out. 10%? Thank you, Todd. The thing is, I know that these were in my notes that I just definitely didn't open before the show started. So thank you. There's Main Event merch. That's why I appreciate that. I just wanted to be a piece of shit for a half a second here. But, gentlemen, Great Brown Hope Alejandro is out. Make sure that you check out his blog series. Just did a fucking badass one on Baron Corbin. Probably the nicest thing that I think I've ever read about Baron Corbin. Ever. So yeah, really enjoy it. And Vogus is in the chat. Good to see you, man.
Hey, big Vogus, Corbin guy.
What's that?
Vogus is a big Baron Corbin guy. Oh yeah.
I mean, if you've seen him cook on TikTok, I mean, there's a good reason why, for sure. He's entertaining as hell. But gentlemen, I know the podcast dad is on a timer here. He's got to go babysit the kids while his wife goes to see Wicked. So
I saw it last night. It was terrific. I put on the makeup and everything for my daughter. We did the whole thing last night. We give it full marks. Yeah,
nice. No, mine aren't old.
No
movies.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. Anyway, guys, let's get right on into it. Before we talk about Full Gear real quick, pretty monumental SmackDown that is in the books right now. There are really only two big things. Paul Heyman has returned, and he brought the fifth man to round out the OG Bloodline for War Games. So it will be New Bloodline and Bronson Reed versus Old Bloodline and the Second City Saint. I am going to start with the man of the hour because he has a date after this. We want to get him loosened up here and get talking and being social. So, Ian, tell me about your thoughts of Paul Heyman returning to save the Bloodline and bringing CM Punk.
You know what? I don't do this often, but I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to shout out Mr. Kyle Gagliardi, Mr. OTM. He did throw this shot in the dark and called this one, which is I was not expecting it at all, but I love the idea of it. And, yeah, it's coming to fruition. So I like how they kind of stayed away from the whole Seth Rollins. They were kind of hinting at him actually finally saying yes, but every single week him saying, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be helping you. So I'm glad they're finally doing something that obviously I think is going to eventually lead to Seth Rollins and CM Punk next year. So I'm excited to see what happens out of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely think that it has to, if we've seen, if the Kevin Owens story is any indication, turning on Cody because of his teaming with Roman in the first place, you have to think that Seth Rollins will be of a similar mindset. Podcast Dad, I know that you're on a time crunch. You're next. What say you?
I'm very happy it's not Seth Rollins. I will say that, because that was my biggest fear, was that Seth Rollins is going to do this, then the whole thing with Roman and Seth, but it didn't happen, and that's awesome. And Punk's coming in as kind of a hired gun. Kind of like Bronson Reed came in as a hired gun. So I still wanted the 4-on-4. That's been my, hill to die on. But I'm okay with this because I get to see CM Punk in War Games, and that's pretty damn exciting.
And we got Will from Gorilla Press in the chats. He's live from Neo Pro. Make sure that you're giving them a follow on X as well. Tuck, let's go to you. Let's hear what you got to say about the Second City Saint coming to save the day.
Well, what a great opportunity. You and I had talked earlier in the card about how Survivor Series loves returns and debuts. And we've got CM Punk making an appearance again. And now the internet has picked apart every aspect of the interactions and appearances by Paul Heyman. The one thing that I will make note of or find interesting is like he dressed like Solo a little bit. Right, he
did to a degree. Yeah. I mean, we're talking the red shirt, the red pocket square, the red Rolex. I mean, if there's one thing that Paul Heyman knows, it's the attention to detail. And no, it's going to be interesting. Whether this is a red herring of some sort, whether this is a Trojan horse sort of scenario here. But we're going to save the best for last. Jay Gold, we're going to turn it over to you. Your thoughts on this return last night?
Yeah, I honestly, if you're going to lean into everybody is still pissed at Roman for everything he did for the last 2.5 years being in the bloodline, I like that Rollins isn't going to join. I like that you keep hearing from Owens that he's still pissed that you took Roman's side when Roman made my life hell for the last 2 years. Lean into it heavy, and I like that Heyman's going to bring a Heyman guy instead of having to deal with the nonsense of the Rollins Bronson Reed feud again. So it just makes sense, but lean into it. Have everybody, because the bloodline pissed everybody off. So have the bloodline, have everyone just say, look, I'm not helping you. Like after everything, why would I just come back and help you? So it just works out that you bring Punk in. He hasn't been around for years. He didn't have that problem with Roman when he was gone. He could come in and help Heyman, and then you can build off of it. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we know that. I mean, it's a matter of when, not necessarily if, Punk and Reigns will end up in a ring together. So there is definitely going to be a lot to dissect here. And I mean, again, there are a lot of mixed thoughts on how this bloodline story has expanded over the last, let's just say, 3 or 4 months. Now that there's very clearly 2 warring factions within the same family, and the help that each side has enlisted, and kind of what it means for everybody involved. But I think that there's a lot to look forward to here. But the other big thing that happened last night, Jade Cargill was mysteriously attacked. Know nothing about it. And again, Tuck, I'll, podcast that will go with you first on this because I know that you have to go. Your thoughts on seeing this angle play out, first and foremost.
Bianca did it.
See, that's exact. But so I had that same thought.
Thanks for coming. Yeah.
I had that same thought, but at the same time, you can't help but wonder. Bianca's in this tournament to compete for the new Women's United States Championship, so there is still kind of what sense does it make to take herself out of that match? If she's not going to win it, and you take Jade out. Were you that worried that she was going to win it, that you were so unconfident in what you yourself has done as far as being a WrestleMania main eventer who's made all kinds of history, who's smashed all kinds of glass ceilings? Like, there's still some holes, I think, at least for me anyway, that need some additional explanation before I can go to, oh yeah, Bianca definitely did it. So, Tuck, I am going to start with you because we talked about this in real time, and just give me your thoughts on seeing this type of spot for the women's division.
First off, I hate the way she laid on the car top. I thought it was way too like
Family Guy-ish.
Family cutout or the chalk outline.
Yeah,
not a fan. But again, I don't know how to fall on cars either. So here's the thing: like you and I talked about the fact that Jade Cargill has not been perfect, but she has not been booked to look weak or vulnerable. And now, again, I still don't know how security cam footage never pops up on these, these crazy side attacks. But
CTV when you need it.
Yeah, so you could think about Bianca, but they also have this mystery opponent in the triple threat next week that could hint at something as well. And I think they are trying to present because Bianca was in the ring. It wasn't her. I don't know. There's just a lot of intrigue between the end of the show and this Jade Cargill package, and I think it stalls the inevitable feud between Bianca and Jade. I think that's a mechanic in play here.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think if Bianca is the mystery opponent in this match next week, then something ain't right. There's still more questions and answers as we sit here right now. But Jay Gold, let's turn to you. Your initial reaction to seeing this, because this was a holy shit out of fucking nowhere kind of moment.
Before you blow up Bianca and Cargill, I want to see Naomi heel turn. So I am thinking Naomi on this one, and I would, because look, she came back. She doesn't have as much fire as she did when she was in the company. She is looking at two people who have taken women's tag gold, have all the shine. Everybody loves them. There's got to be some kind of jealousy. I don't need to see, and Bianca has said a million times, even in interviews outside of wrestling, she doesn't want to be a heel. So if she wants to stay in that position that she's in, let it be Naomi for a little bit. Give me some more, and then stretch out Cargill and Bianca for WrestleMania. There's no reason to blow it up right now, especially with War Games and everything else.
And
I do really spectacles.
I do really like that because when we look at Naomi's return and seeing where this women's division has gone since she has been since she departed, and the fact that she was upset over the creative when it comes to the women's tag team championships, you can play that jealousy angle very easily of that should have been me, that should have been Sasha. We should be the ones that were on top of this division for the foreseeable future. It should not have been you all. And, the reason that you guys are at where you are is because of me. So I don't hear a thank you, if you want to go down the thank you, Trish sort of pathway of this. Ian, what say you?
So I have a few ideas. One, I'm going to throw out my crazy idea first. This is more kind of like, it would be really cool to see. First off, I need to ask you a question. Eric, this could be for you. Which parking lot do you see a lot of injuries and backstage attacks on? For what show?
NXT.
It would be NXT
for sure. This isn't your classroom.
Sorry, you beat me. I was willing participant.
Besides that, so I also, another thing that we've been saying is this NXT women's division is so stacked right now. Why not try to sprinkle a little bit of NXT women's division on the main roster right now? So maybe this is a way of getting there. I don't know. That's just my long shot idea. I would like to see it. I don't know if they're ready or it could even happen.
Actually, that you say it, I'll have to double check, but I do think that the replacement has already been named as I kind of scroll the interwebs here. I do believe it's going to be Lash Legend that will be replacing Jade Cargill. So we are seeing Metaphor, seize these opportunities.
But you can't have those women in NXT yet with Jade. Jade is still too raw. She still needs time. You can't put those women who are still building in with Jade because it's not going to look good. And I think they know what they're doing as far as how they've brought Jade along, which is refreshing because they're not throwing her right into the main event. But if you put an NXT woman with her, it's going to look really bad.
I wouldn't go that far as with Lash Legend, just because I was not a Lash Legend fan when she first debuted at all. Just very, very green. And that was what NXT 2.0 was just, we're just going to, essentially the way that people used to teach their kids to swim, we're just going to throw you in deep end, see if you sink or swim. But Metaphor has leveled up so significantly that, I mean, we're seeing they were the ones that got the opportunity to go over to Saudi Arabia and compete for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Despite how you may feel about the Saudi shows in general, to have an opportunity like that does mean quite a bit. So I'm not worried about Lash necessarily being able to keep up in in this particular environment as far as these triple threat matches, especially when we've seen how well BFAB fucking killed it last weekend. And, she's not somebody that wrestles nearly as much as Lash Legend does. I do like this as the idea of a replacement. But the larger story is still going to be, did Bianca do it? We know that she's going to be accused of having done it. Like that's just a given, I feel like. But there are a lot of people that can benefit from being the ones to have laid out the most recent big signing that just screams star potential and passes the airport test. I mean, a lot to enjoy on the road to Survivor Series right now, and we'll certainly be talking about that on our respective shows as the week progresses. But, gentlemen, we are here to talk about AEW Full Gear, the penultimate pay-per-view for AEW this year. There's a lot to go through here, so I'm going to go ahead and get my card pulled up. I believe 0 hour starts at 7?
6:30. Oh, yeah, probably 7 pre-show. They usually do a pre-show before the 0 hour, I believe.
That cookie dude is on the pre-show, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right, we'll get to that.
Serving
Good
as
Lord.
special guest timekeeper. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get into that. And Tuck, just since you wanted to show off the biceps and you got so excited, let's start with you on this match. Big Boom AJ taking on QT Marshall. Your thoughts?
Thank you for the bicep comment. The chat does need to understand that you have quite the set as well. You know that I am on the Mount Rushmore of your bicep fans. I might be the only one. But this is going to be fun, right? It's like, it's using a little bit of virality out of Big Justice and AJ. And AJ is like, he has a presence. I went back and watched Dynamite this morning, cleaning the house, and he's got authority. Both of them know how to play the parts in and out. Like, it's real. This isn't a gimmick match. It'll be fine. Something different than a scramble, than 20 people, a 10 on 10 tag, something like that. I'm looking forward to it.
Jay Gold, your thoughts?
You're not getting me with this cookie dude, but I am. Oh, he's fine. Whatever. I've had enough of the all the calories and everything else that he keeps shoving in my face. But QT Marshall is the guy, so good for him, and get some of that shine on that guy. And getting eyes on the product is never bad, ever. So I have no issues with them using that. I have just had enough of that whole thing. But I'm just a crotchety old man as far as that goes. But he's probably going to win. And QT doesn't need a pin, so that's fine. It's going to be a feel-good moment over there.
Full-time, part-timer?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because I think really all it is about the eyes. I think we're just we're understanding that. I mean, Big Boom AJ was a wrestler. Like, he was on the independent circuit, and from what I have heard, like, he was actually like kind of known, just at least within the wrestling community. Obviously not to the eyes of the public, but I like what they're doing with it, because it's, again, the casual fan that sees all of this trending stuff with Big Boom AJ cutting promos, and good promos too, especially he was on a late night show promoting AEW. That is awesome, no matter who is doing it. So I like what they're going to do with it, because you're going to have some casual fans be like, okay, I want to watch this guy in the ring that have maybe never even watched pro wrestling ever. So in all, it is awesome for the company and awesome for the business too. Even if they shit the bed with the match, which I don't think they will, it's showing public eyes on a product that needs it right now. So I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
Look, he sold that diamond cutter, guys. He sold it like perfectly. It's not going to be that bad of a match. He looked great the other night taking the diamond cutter. So I don't think you're not going to run into one of those guys who are overly stiff or doesn't know what he's doing. He seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, and we're just in an era where, you know, WWE is going to have the market share, and if you are in a personality outside of the industry and you're going to get eyes on you, like they have shown that they're willing to back up the Brinks truck to get whoever it is that they, you know, want to bring in. I mean, you know, despite all of the technical issues that are going to have us clinching come January once Raw actually comes to Netflix, now we're talking about, will Mike Tyson come back to WWE? Will Jake Paul, like, will we be able to get Logan, Jake Paul, and Mike Tyson back into WWE? Doesn't matter how long or how often we get them. If we can get one night with some combination of these three guys, let's make some money off of it. That's just where we are right now. Is if you are a personality, they know how to figure out the rest of it. I mean, that's the wrestling industry. Is there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, so it's good on AEW to realize that trend and wanting to capitalize on it. So, this is not going to appeal to everybody, but it's going to get eyes on the product and it's going to get some laughs, and it's on the pre-show, so it doesn't affect the integrity of the overall card if you're watching to watch for the wrestling product. So,
did you guys see the tweet somebody posted of that interview that he did with the kid with him, Big Justice, and the kid was reacting to every word like he's been in the business forever, and they're like, look how impressive this is. That was the only time you sold me out. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, he is good. The guy's AJ speaking, his son's doing his thing, and literally reacting like he's been in the business in front of an interview. So good on them. Let them do their thing, and you know, go for it.
I do have a question. Is this the only match on the pre-show?
No, there are two more.
Okay, I was about to say, because if this was the only match on the pre-show, it'd kind of worry me, because then it kind of goes into the integrity of everything on... If you want to draw the public viewers, so with this match, you are going to get those eyes on the product. Then actually putting on a match with the real product, like closer to it, maybe not as good of a match as, 5-star quality you're going to get on AEW pay-per-views. Something like a tag team match would be really good just to throw before the AJ match, because... Again, you're trying to draw eyes and convince them that, hey, this is worthwhile watching. And I remember I think it was matches with Athena. She had a lot of pre-show matches, and a lot of people were hating on it. But at the same time, from another perspective, you could see that being one of the most important parts of a pay-per-view card, is you are out there probably with a dead crowd coming into the arena, and your job is to sell the people that you want to buy this product. You want to spend the $60, $65 and pay to watch more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, very well said. I mean, this is the right spot for this. Like I said, this isn't, the way that AEW structures their cards. This is not something I'd have any interest once 7 o'clock hits and beyond. But yeah. Next up, we have Deonna Purrazzo taking on Anna Jay in a singles match. Deonna Purrazzo came in with a lot of fanfare earlier this year and is truly one of the best on the planet at what she does. And here she is working 0 hour. Jay Gold, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on this match?
I love Deonna. She's a Jersey girl, right down by me. She's unfortunately, I think she got caught up in the wash at AEW, where now she's on the pre-show. Anna Jay's fine. Love Anna Jay. Doesn't necessarily scream like big time match that I need to see, but I do think Deonna's going to win. I think it's setting it up perfectly. I think Anna Jay's been over in Japan for a bit, so getting those chops going. But I think Deonna should get the win, and they kind of hopefully reintegrate her back into the fold, because I feel like she got kind of forgotten for a bit.
Stud Muffin Ian, before your date tonight, let's get some of that Riz out of you. Let's hear it.
No, I mean, thank you. I'm blushing. I do want to bring up, like, Deonna Purrazzo. Again, you said it. Like, I mean, honestly, both of these women have been kind of almost forgotten about in the AEW main roster situation, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's okay, because especially with Anna Jay, she's really young. There's star potential there. If you're talking about the airport quality test or the eye test. Obviously, she checks a few boxes with that. She looks like a star, and she went over to New Japan, I believe, or some league out there, and she worked on her craft, just kind of like her boyfriend or husband, Jack Perry. And she came back with a new ferocity, new character look, going back a little bit more to the original character that she had in AEW. And so matches like this are stuff that let's perfect your craft and see what you could do on the main roster or the main
Yeah.
card.
So I have to ask, does your date know you're a wrestling fan?
Oh my gosh. Yes, actually, shockingly. I was.
All right, we're off to a good start. Yeah, fuck yeah. There we go.
Don't be ashamed. I told my wife the first day I met her I liked wrestling. She either take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. You're good.
Tuck, let's say you.
Oh, Deonna Purrazzo, in her return, good opportunity for her to get a win under her belt and get the ball rolling. And I think it's a perfect use of 0 Hour. Not quite the star power type name for me to make a return in some kind of way on the main card. So Deonna Purrazzo for the win.
Yeah.
And I'm good with it.
All right. Yeah, I think I might go Perazo as well. But yeah, no, it'll be exciting to see kind of, especially as we look towards 2025, what is in store for this women's division, especially if Toni Storm retires, like everybody's saying. We've also now got a 4-way match. Buddy Matthews, Dante Martin, Commander, and the Beast Mortos. Ian, I'm going to start with you on this one. A lot of moving parts here, probably some tag title implications eventually.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these are, like I said before, you need a match like this on your 0 Hour to just go, holy shit, what am I watching on the screen? Because each of these 4 guys are incredible in ring and they could do some crazy stuff. So I'm very excited for this match because it's going to be fun, which is AEW is pretty good at throwing those matches together last second. I think it's going to have to be Buddy Matthews. I like what they're doing right now because it's kind of, they're growing the House of Black into 3 different categories. If you made either of these guys a singles star, I don't think anybody's batting an eye. I mean, but at the same time, they're great in the ring, all 3 of them. Yeah, I'm excited because this could mean good things for Buddy Matthews on his own, which I think he deserves some kind of run.
Yeah, especially because we don't know what's going on with the Malachi Black contract situation. They're at least being proactive and getting Brody and Buddy and Julia other opportunities and stories that they can sink their teeth into. So that way, let's just say, heaven forbid, or not necessarily heaven forbid, but if Malachi Black does decide to leave and head back to WWE, you're not leaving this group in a place where they can't be sustainable on their own. But Tucky, let's get your opinion.
I'm going with the Beast Mortos just because I like the name the best out of the 4 guys in this match.
Yeah. His tweets are very funny too, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's a lawyer.
They
For
really
those that
are.
don't know.
Looking forward to the match.
Yeah.
Don't have a particularly strong interest. The Buddy Matthews pick makes sense. I'm going with the Beast Mortos. Sure.
That's fair. That's fair. Jay Gold?
I'm with you. I'd go with the Beast. I just saw him at DPW last weekend, and we asked a question on our show: who's the best base in wrestling? And is it Beast? Is it Claudio? Or is it Gringo Loco? And after seeing Beast do anything, after seeing that dude in the ring, I want him to win everything. So if they give him that international title, that dude is awesome. And I don't remember him being this hot when he was Black Taurus, but he is. I just get enjoyment out of it. That's why I don't think he's going to win, because he is a base. I do think Buddy Matthews will win it. I do want to. My heart says, please let me see the Beast Mortos win. But Buddy Matthews, where they're trying to push that House of Black, is going to get that one.
Well said. Well said. Gentlemen, we have made it through the 0 Hour. Now we have another 9 matches on the main card here. And this first one, I'm just going by Wikipedia, but it would actually be nice if this match opened the show. I would have no problem with it. MJF and Roderick Strong. We have seen the reformation of the Undisputed Kingdom. And now Kyle O'Reilly is not having the frosty feelings that he used to have for Adam Cole. So we are starting to see some fences being mended, and that is undisputed. But, Jay Gold, we're going to start with you. We're just going to go back in this other order here. Roderick Strong being able to beat 3 people to get this match. Adam Cole came up short. Your thoughts on MJF getting his hands on Roddy before Adam Cole?
They love doing this. AEW. They love getting you up to that point, and then the other guy the guy loses, and you're just sitting there going, well, all right. I see Max. Max has to win. He is their villain. There's nobody else that can play that role in AEW right now. He is a villain. That's it. So when he wins, everybody loses their mind. He's here on the East Coast, tonight. I believe it's in Jersey. So, I wouldn't. Roderick Strong. He's seen. Okay, like. If you ask me if I could root for the guy, I can't. I love the villain that Max is. So I give it to Max, and I don't think it's going to be particularly compelling. I think he's going to win. He's going to pull one out, and then Cole's going to have to come out.
Ian?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, MJF in his, I think this is technically kind of his hometown. He's going to say it's his hometown, especially.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of opening up with MJF's entrance, music hits, crowd is going to go crazy for him. And I do like how this is not Adam Cole in this spot because that's putting him in a really tough spot because he's going to get booed out of the building. I mean, Roderick Strong is going to get booed out of the building, and they're not supposed to. But again, you're in MJF's New Jersey. MJF picks up a win. Maybe they get some story development, but I would be okay with this just being a clean win. It won't be a clean win, but them two in the ring together, MJF pins Roderick Strong, no other craziness goes on, match ends, get to Dynamite, develop the story further.
Tuck?
I think this is a win for MJF to get him steamrolling towards Adam Cole. The Kylie O'Reilly of it all does make it a bit more interesting, but I like this match to open the card as well, and I think MJF gets the win. Not necessarily clean like Ian said, but like pretty considerably. You know what I mean? Distinct win. It's probably heelish, but that's MJF.
Yeah, I think with this, for whatever reason, Tony Khan is still fixated on finishing this story between MJF and Adam Cole. So I would imagine that we are probably looking at MJF Adam Cole at World's End, because that is kind of where this story picked up its steam entirely too late last year, and then had the Adam Cole foot injury that kind of slowed down being able to finish this one. I sincerely hope that if this is leading up to that I never see MJF and Adam Cole in a ring together ever fucking again, because it's taken entirely long to get to this fucking finish. So if it happens, great. If not, let's just move the fuck on. Next up, we have Jay White taking on Hangman Adam Page. Jay White getting a little momentum under him. Hangman Page is just this unhinged son bitch these days. So Jay Gold, starting with you, what do you think about this match? Who's your pick?
Do you guys talk a lot about this poor Jay White? I mean, the guy makes this whole big to-do signing over to AEW, and all of a sudden he's put with the Ass Boys and the Gun Club and blah blah blah, and you're just like, what happened to Jay White? Where did he go? Like, where did that Jay White go? So I think if you're doing it right, Adam Page does not need this. Jay White needs to be rebuilt. Let's rebuild him. Give him a nice win to sink his teeth into, and then let's get him go Jay White. Jesus, go up the card. Like, I can't take Jay White in a comedy role. I don't want to see him. I love Juice Robinson. No need for it. No need for him with Juice. Get up. AEW needs stars. Go up the roster. Get a big win and get up the roster. So I am all for Jay White winning tonight, and would be happy if he just takes this one and Adam Page just kind of goes on and does what Adam Page does, because he doesn't need the win.
As you can all tell, Jay Gold is very enthusiastic about what should happen in this match. And we want to hear from you guys. Yes. Yeah. I know I asked and I wanted the answer, and I want everybody else to feel as passionate as you are. If you are watching right now, comment in the chats. Let's see, tell us what you want to see out of tonight's show. Tell us your predictions. If you have questions for us, throw them in those chats. We're going to be happy to answer them. Tuck, we're going to move on to you. Your pick, Hangman Page or Switchblade Jay White?
I think the viewer wins on both sides, both outcomes, because Hangman Page has a respectable mustache, and I like this version of Hangman Page the best. I'm going with Hangman Page, but I also think Jay White has a lot of steam, and Jay Gold brought up many good reasons why Jay White should win. I think it's going to be a great match. I'm going with Hangman Page with the mustache.
I want to split the difference here, because you guys are both on the right track, but I said it before. I really want, as you said, Jay Gold, I'm going to pitch this one to you. I think the only way that Jay White could climb to that main event spot, as you are referencing, that he so rightfully deserves, is getting a heel Jay White, because everybody knows that man is incredible on the mic, especially when he's a heel. They have their fun in the sun with the Bang Bang Gang. Jay White has brought up before, he said he has two people that he needs to take care of. One is Hangman Adam Page, and I don't believe the second one has been mentioned yet. I think the second one, to help him get to the top, as he says, is Juice Robinson. And as soon as Hangman pins Jay White tonight, we have Jay White just nail Juice Robinson in the back of the head or something. We get a great feud out of this and let Jay White just prosper as a heel. I really wish they'd go and do this because I think Jay White doesn't need a win. I think he needs a loss to get that extra heel.
Who does a feud with Juice Robinson benefit? I don't know if it benefits anyone. I think if you're going to put Jay White back up, he's got to distance himself completely. Like, okay, if he does throw an elbow and take out Juice at the end, it's over. Go walk away from them. Like, give me the next feud that means something where he jumps into either the international title or that other title that Okada's got or something. Yeah. Give me something else where he's going to get some gold under his belt or under, in his resume, because if he goes into just think about this. He goes into another singles feud and you're like, well, where is that supposed to take me now? Like, I just feel like they get into that spin cycle at AEW and you're just like, oh, another feud that doesn't push you forward. So unless it's going to push him forward, I don't know if I need a Juice Robinson feud. That's just kind of where my brain goes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I think that we can consider Jay White probably one of the biggest missed opportunities in AEW right now with the fanfare that he came in, and Okada's the fucking same. These are two guys that defined Japanese wrestling, transformed it, and introduced a very large swath of the American audience to it. We get them to the States, we get them on TV every fucking week. Something that I don't think anybody thought would ever fucking happen, and this is how they're being used. I get that there are only so many spots to go around at the top of the card, but Eric Bischoff was talking about this on 83 Weeks of, Tony Khan should consider taking a step back and installing a booking committee. I mean, and I get it. You're the president, you're the GM, owner, all of that. Good for fucking you. How well is that working out for the Jags right now? Not very. Dixie Carter at least knew to surround herself with people that, she knew what she didn't know. So it's no different here, but that's thought for a much larger discussion than we have time for right now. We're moving on to the tag team titles here, and this has been a large subject of discussion. We've got Private Party taking on the Outrunners, Kings of the Black Throne, and the acclaimed four-way match for the World Tag Team titles. Loverboy Ian, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on this match?
I do not need a new gimmick change, by the way. That is not going to stick. Anyway.
We'll fucking see.
Private Party. Private Party just won these titles, obviously. I think it's time for a good, keep it simple, time for a good title defense. Give me a fantastic match. If there would be a number 2, I would like to see the House of Black win it. But at the same time, I mean, the Outrunners are getting some shine. The Acclaimed have something going on with Max Caster hinting at a heel turn, but it's Max Caster could be working off script, kind of a douche. But I'm excited to see what they do with that. Maybe they break it up. Who knows? But it is nice seeing guys like the Outrunners on a main card, which it's given a little bit of fortitude to this tag team division, which has been kind of slowing down recently. But with this new Private Party era, this should be fun.
Tuck?
I'm going Private Party to retain. Given the way they won the titles, I don't think it's time to turn them over yet. I think it will be an entertaining match. Could open, but I think this is more appropriate to be placed somewhere in the middle of the card as hopefully a pretty athletic train wreck kind of a match. I'm going Private Party.
All right, Jay Gold.
Yeah, please don't hotshot this title. Just leave it on Private Party for a while, and then what I envision is you're going to get Outrunners and Kings of the Black Throne fighting. And you're going to get the Acclaim split up in front of Jersey because Anthony Bowens is a Jersey guy. Max and that whole Hurt Business, whatever thing going on, he's going over there. It's time for the Acclaim to split up. They don't have any more momentum as it is. Let Max go over. The guy can wrestle. Anthony Bowens can wrestle. The two of them together in a ring one-on-one would be great. So definitely Private Party. Let them hold. Just hold on to it. We don't need, fight a bunch of different teams. Look great as you're doing it. At least build up, because they were also another spin cycle team that kind of came out of nowhere. Each one of them couldn't stay healthy. Now they're healthy. All right, now run with it. And now that's it. So split up the Acclaim, Outrunners, Black Throne fight. there's a Private Party with the belts.
Yeah, you've taken the words right out of my mouth here. Acclaimed, they've done everything that they can possibly do right now as a tag team in AEW. We see the heat that Max Caster gets online. Anthony Bowens is more over than ever, especially with his advocacy work that he does. Outrunners are just one of the most popular tag teams right now, and they've gotten themselves over organically. We know Kings of the Black Throne, they will be perfectly fine too. It's just a matter of getting them on TV more. But Private Party is here to stay. So I'm 1,000% down with that. I think that, or at least I hope anyway, that once we've kind of gotten through this 4-way match, that we're going to see some more teams that are going to enter the mix here. I don't know if there's any fellow meat riders in the house here, but Iron Savages, I definitely want to start to see getting some of that organic momentum that we've seen with the Outrunners here. I'm going to go Private Party, and I guess this is just going to be a fun one to watch. This next one concerns me. Mercedes Moné taking on Chris Statlander, mostly because I've just not, I love Mercedes. I've not been a fan of her in AEW. And Tuck, I'm going to start with you on this. She's taking on Chris Statlander. TBS Championship on the line. What are your thoughts on this match?
Mercedes Moné has been fine. She has not been the greatest TBS champion of all time ever, the way she tries to make it claim. I do think she's going to get the win over Chris Statlander here to keep the ball rolling on the Camille storyline. I think inevitably Camille's the one that takes that title off her. I don't love her. I'm going Mercedes Moné.
Jay Gold?
Yeah, I'm with you. Poor Stat. Another one. And by the way, when you said Iron Savages, Long Island guys, Creative Pro, those are all my guys. Yeah. The Iron Savages, Stat, MJF. But yeah, I can't envision Tony. He is obsessed with trying to get Mercedes over. The theme song stinks. The whole way she's been presented has been kind of flat. Yeah. But oh man, Stat would be so good in that role. She didn't hold it long enough when she beat Jade, but yeah, there's no way they're gonna stop that momentum, that train of Camille and her. So definitely goes to Mercedes. A lot of people are gonna be kind of like, and you're gonna get that mediocre response online afterwards. But yeah, it's gonna go to her.
Lover boy.
Oh my gosh.
He's not your boy, toy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be adding too much dialogue into this one because Mercedes obviously has not been fantastic. I kind of like what they're doing recently and just kind of building into it and kind of the bully backstage, which on paper I guess makes sense a little bit. WWE getting paid a lot of money to come to the company, so that's also probably why Tony Khan is trying to shove her down our throats at the moment. And it's not getting over. It's not working. I've been vocal about it. I didn't like Sasha Banks' out of the ring work. She's also obviously fantastic in the ring. Hasn't had the real chance to show it in the ring in AEW yet. But I think Chris Statlander is a type of wrestler that could help demonstrate how good she really is. So I don't think that's going to be anything to push this title reign on any good trajectory still. I think it's kind of overdue for her to just lose the title already. And a lot of people are talking crap about Camille's presentation, which I don't necessarily agree. I get it. She kind of looks weak, but at the same time, she's supposed to look weak in the fact that she's getting bullied by the Mercedes Moné, who's the champion right now. Yeah. And it's just going to build for that face turn eventually.
Yeah, and producer man, if you could bring up, Great Brown Hope's comments. Still have no idea exactly what she's the CEO of. I mean, we didn't know what she was the boss of in WWE, but Sasha Banks is 1,000 times better than Mercedes Moné is. I mean, that's my opinion on it.
Well,
the boss, you don't want to join us. All right, fine, fuck you too.
I'm gonna walk into school on Monday and just say I'm the principal.
Well, the boss works because if the boss is so much less formal. CEO all of a sudden means she is some. This is way too formal. I don't want to call her CEO. Boss is so much better. You have a boss everywhere. You can have a boss in an hourly wage. You have a boss in a salaried wage. I don't like CEO. I still have no idea. You're right. What is she CEO of?
I mean, but let's be honest. It could have been the CEO, or if we're going to go along the same lines as the boss, I'm the supervisor. Supervisor. Like, come on. It doesn't have the ring to it. Like that's it.
Supervisor. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Just say it. So I'm also going to say Mercedes here. Again, she's getting paid Osprey levels of money. Like, there's just like this is the foreseeable future here. Well, we're not necessarily bashing AEW. I think color's bright. If you check out all of our shows, I think it's safe to say for all of us on our networks that we were critical of wrestling in general. It doesn't really matter the promotion itself, but appreciate you checking us out. Hope that you tune in and check out the rest of our shows and get a much more informed opinion. Next up, we've got Swerve Strickland taking on
Eric.
Bobby Lashley
if that's my wife, colors bright. Hey, listen, we're not all WWE fans. Stop it. So anyway,
That's so funny.
I'll have to tell her. She's probably upstairs writing that.
Fine.
Yeah, all the fans of OTM know I hate AEW. I cannot stand that company, and I enjoyed bashing them every single week. So thank you for bringing that one up.
On the Wrestling Junkies podcast, we say fuck tribalism. So if you want to follow us at Junkies Pods, where we're at Monday through Thursday, live at 6:30 p.m., we talk good, the bad, the ugly across pro wrestling in general. If you're here looking to start some more about whether we like one company or the other, miss me with that bullshit. We're not the ones. Next up, we got Swerve Strickland taking on Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley making his AEW pay-per-view debut here. The Hurt Syndicate is back. MVP and Shelton Benjamin. So far, we're already off to a great start with how they're being presented, certainly compared to kind of the tail end of their WWE run. So, Jay Gold, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about the Bobby Lashley debut, how he's been presented so far, how the Hurt Syndicate has been presented so far, and what are you thinking or what are you hoping to see in this match?
Here's what kills me about what AEW does sometimes about this. He's a huge name. And Swerve is just coming off being your champ. There is no way those two should be touching just yet. This should be something else. This should be either a tag match for the Hurt Business and their stuff, the Syndicate, and Swerve should be somewhere else. They're two big stars that I think you're rushing. That's what I forgot who did this on a wrestling interview, and they said, I want you to think of this. Slow down. And when you can't slow down anymore, slow down even more. And after that, slow down again. And then slow down. I feel like I'm talking to my daughter when she's trying to do homework. Slow down, Tony. There's no reason this match needs to happen right now. This is something you can do in Wembley. This is something you can do in a lot of places. Bobby should be somewhere else. This is the thing. I don't know who's supposed to win this. I don't know who benefits from winning this match. They both are gigantic stars for AEW. They have to be treated like that. So I'm not sure. If I'm going to say something, it's probably going to be Bobby by some kind of trickery with MVP and Sheldon, and they might add another member. But I don't know what either one of them benefits from when they're already both giant stars. I feel like you're hurting where you have this big, match. So I don't know. I think it's going to be Bobby because you can't bring him in and have him lose right off the bat. But to have him go right up against Swerve right away seems to be a rush to me.
It's a great point. And it's one I didn't really even think about, but it's just how does Swerve get back to that title? I mean, they could have thrown him straight back into the title scene, but at the same time, I don't know. I see what you're saying, and I completely agree with you. It's just, I think this was kind of like like you said, a Tony Khan, like we needed to check this one off the list right away, which sucks, but at the same time, I'm drawn to it. As for the Hurt Syndicate, I think we were all on the same page that a guy like Shelton Benjamin has excelled upon anybody's expectations. We all thought it was going to be Bobby Lashley being the star. I think there's the potential right now, but right now I'm seeing Shelton Benjamin as the guy. Obviously not present. He's presented as like a co-main guy of the group, but he's above him right now. So Bobby Lashley is going to succeed and probably gain the most from a victory. And as you said, you're not going to have him win or lose this quickly coming into the company. You need to make Bobby Lashley look like a star because Shelton Benjamin has set the table pretty dang high right now. And Swerve doesn't hurt him at all. It builds his character.
Yeah, and Ian, to your point, especially about Shelton Benjamin, something that I don't think a lot of people think about as frequently as they should is that, this is a guy that wrestled on the same team as Brock Lesnar. When we talk size, speed, athleticism, Shelton Benjamin is not that far off from Brock Lesnar. It is just because we are so used to seeing him in WWE and he was kind of pigeonholed into a spot on the card that's all we see him as. This is a chance for him to reinvent himself and have a true second act of his career. If AEW is around, are we really going to, we have seen the second half or the 40, I guess mid to late 50s renaissance that we've seen with like a Dustin Rhodes or any of these other names. Like we started this talking about the first match on the card likely going to be MJF and Roderick Strong. Is Roderick Strong making it to a fucking pay-per-view if AEW doesn't exist? I don't think so. And that's a lot of the benefit that we're seeing of not only having this company as a whole. And I certainly hope that whoever made that comment is listening to what we're saying as we put over AEW right now. But this is a huge opportunity, not just for Bobby Lashley, but for Shelton Benjamin. I do think that despite the flaws that sometimes Tony Khan has in his booking, this is a group that will make money. This is a group that will win championships. If you make MVP's appearances mean significantly more because he wrestles, if he wrestles sporadically, make those appearances mean something more. All of these guys can get over if you bring in a Max Caster to be a part of this group as well. Maybe this is a shot in the arm that could help out Mercedes Moné should she decide to join. There's a lot of things that can be done with this, but now that I've rambled and said my piece, Tuck, your turn.
I think with this one, you think about the compliment it says to each other. I do think we could have certainly got to this one much later, but that also makes me think that this one might be a little bit more of just a numbers game where Bobby Lashley wins. The Hurt Syndicate as a whole is involved, and Swerve still looks strong in some way. Could be the first of a few here, but I do think Bobby Lashley's got to win it.
Jay Gold?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's where I was. I Lashley has to win, and you know what? I wouldn't mind if Nana turns a little bit and and Swerve loses because of like Nana going over there or something. Because there's so many pieces you can put in to at least not kill this, but I don't want to see it anyway because I think they both need some more time apart. But okay.
I want to pitch this, guys.
Nana's got coffee to sell, so I don't think he's going to turn heel quite yet.
It's got other things to sell too in the parking lot. I just want to bring this one up because this is a name that I think, especially with the recent re-signing, it's a name that has a ceiling that could be broken through, and that's a guy like Lio Rush. Obviously, it's the low-hanging fruit. Everybody knows that Lashley, but the dude is really good, and he's showing it. The match with him and Shelton, I thoroughly enjoyed. He played his part very well, and I think he could be a good mouthpiece on top of MVP as well, or just a guy that is a silent, kind of almost like a quick assassin, a part of the group, because they just have two powerhouses right now, which isn't a bad thing, but
I think you got to tread lightly with something like that, because if you flip over to the other half of the wrestling landscape right now, some people might say that having two managers in Final Testament might be a little much. And that would be the only other concern that I have is we know MVP can talk, and we know Lio Rush can talk as well, but how much is too much as far as too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to that managerial valet spot would be my only.
The other problem is who's selling tickets. So is it MVP or is it Lio Rush? MVP. So let MVP be your face and let him sell the tickets. And Lio Rush, unfortunately, I don't think has a spot there, but not talking at least. If you want to have him replace kind of like the Cedric Alexander side, where Cedric was like the speed and power and kind of flippy stuff, great. And you want Lio Rush in that role, but I want MVP selling my product.
Yeah, that's fair. That's what I was asking, because I don't. He doesn't have to be the manager of it, but taking advantage of that low hanging fruit of Lio Rush just joining the group in general and being a face that's surrounding the Hurt Syndicate. I think it helps. Not. It's already very high. I like what they're doing already, but I think it just adds a little bit of flavor.
Yeah. And gentlemen, we are on to the final third of our card here. But before we get into these final four matches, make sure you're following at @mainevent_net for all things Main Event Wrestling Network on all social media platforms. Give us a follow at Junkies Pod for the Wrestling Junkies Podcast, at Pod on the Mark for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, and IW Guide 1. We all do incredibly amazing stuff. We just enjoy talking about wrestling. Doesn't really matter the promotion. Fuck tribalism once again for anybody else that didn't pick up on that memo and how we like to do things. Jack Perry, Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship. Jack Perry it's been an interesting year and a half, give or take, for the scapegoat, the CM Punk fallout, going to New Japan and kind of reinventing himself. And now he's TNT champion. He created his own version of this belt with his own bare hands. Daniel Garcia finally getting a true championship match push. Tuck, I'm going to start with you on this one. Tell me your thoughts leading into this.
I've kind of enjoyed the Jack Perry run, but I also think the Jack Perry run has run its course. I think it's time to put the strap on Daniel Garcia in a great match. On Daniel Garcia's side, I think it's time. I think it's time to get him some gold. So, for no other reason that I want to see Daniel Garcia be the champion, that is my pick.
I like it. Jay Gold.
Yes, Daniel Garcia. Now, the other reason I have for you is you said the Jack Perry run is kind of like over, but did it ever really get enough of a start? Like, they beat up Tony Khan to become as villainous as possible. Then he started driving around a truck playing off of something that CM Punk called him, who's no longer with the company. Then he made this belt, and he never really became as dastardly as he probably could have, wrestling terms, as evil as he could have. And now you have Daniel Garcia in here who's they're trying to justify Daniel Garcia resigning or whatever it was, since he didn't have his contract, and whatever. I don't know if they ever got Jack Perry where they wanted him. I don't know if he ever hit the high that they expected with the scapegoat and the bus and the belt. I think it just kind of hit 75% and it never got to 100. So I do think Daniel Garcia should probably win tonight and get that regular belt back, since you're going to be on Max and television now for a while. Get a real belt in there, not that spray, metal nonsense that he made, and kind of move it forward. So,
Yeah, before I turn things over to Rico Suave, all I want to say is that scapegoat Jack Perry is still heads and shoulders better than this guy that tried to say that he's banging the hottest insert word here in the place and then awkwardly winked at the fucking camera the first time that they tried to turn him heel. The scapegoat. I agree with you, Jay Gold, that there's so much more that they could have done with him, especially as we look at the presentation of the Elite and kind of what we were hoping to get out of this. Especially seeing the Young Bucks take this Succession-esque kind of turn to be Roman and Kendall Roy, and Okada, who again one of the best wrestlers on the planet, who's been reduced to a comedy act that saw the word bitch once and now thinks it's the coolest fucking thing ever, like he's a fucking 6-year-old. For what they got out of it, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Jack drive around in the beat up school bus painted black. Loved the vignette that they taped of him making the belt with his own hands. There was a lot more that they could have done. I don't know, just for whatever reason, sometimes stories or factions or collectives just don't work, I think, the way that they intended. We never really got a true closing or follow up to attacking Tony Khan. I think the only thing that it benefited was he got to wear a neck brace during the NFL draft and garner a little bit of sympathy. But this story has run its course. It's not to say that there isn't anything that can't be done with Jack Perry going forward. I prefer him as a heel now. I don't necessarily want to see him go back to Jungle Boy or anything like that. But I do think that it's time for him to kind of figure out, where this edge can go and see what they can do with it as a babyface. So that's just me. Loverboy, it's all you.
I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate here because somebody actually has to like AEW in this chat. I like it.
I like it. I'm just giving
I'm wearing
them
a fucking
feedback.
AEW t-shirt and like it. Okay.
I like it. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's wrestling. Wrestling's good. We're just giving honest. It's just honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call my burner back into the chat. Colors Bright. You're more than welcome to chime in. But yeah, no, I just want to play a little devil's advocate here with the Elite. I think I may be like the one person I've enjoyed what they did with the Elite. I don't know if it's still going to be going on because you got to think of it. the Elite, that formation, and like you said, it is kind of like on either side of the fence. How you said, Jay Gold, it was that situation with CM Punk. I think they did as best they could with. I mean, with that situation, do you acknowledge it or do you just completely forget about it and try to brush it under the rug? Because I think, honestly, they might have picked the lesser of evils and they made some money off of it, which, again, from a perspective, I could see why that's bad. Obviously, it's somebody in a different company, in your competitor's company, completely understand that. But at the same time, it's hard not to mention it. Showing camera footage of it, pretty shitty. I'm not a huge fan of that.
But what
was
money
fucking
did they
stupid.
make on it, right? What money did we see guys like you and me in this chat wearing scapegoat stuff? Do you ever see that crappy title he made sold at the shows? WWE jumps all over that if they're going to lean in. They didn't lean into it enough, and now you're stuck with this Jack Perry in limbo where you're like, hey, did you make us any money? I don't know. Did they really make money with him?
Right, I see what you mean. I mean, look at your current tag team champs, Private Party. Would they be where they're at right now as tag team champs if the Elite did not have those tag titles? Because I think that feud was really nicely set up. I liked how they did it. Yeah. It was the underdog situation, and they played it to perfection. Now you have the Elite kind of on the back burner. I mean, they're legitimately some of the people in charge of the company, so it's okay to have them off TV for a while. I understand with the Okada situation, it is kind of weird, but give that some more time, which I know is hard to do with Okada because you want to see him in the ring. You paid this guy so much money. Had so much hype coming into the company. The Jack Perry situation, again, I understand it, but at the same time, it developed him and got him out of that kind of snake hole of the Jungle Boy situation. Like, Jungle Boy character at the time was it was fantastic. But if you were to tell a AEW fan back in 2019, Jungle Boy is going to be a completely dark figure, you would have been like, what? What are you talking about? This guy, he's just a lovable, he's always going to be Jungle Boy. So that situation kind of forced him to break out of that character. So it gave a little bit of life to Jungle Boy's character and his career. So, again, I just wanted to play devil's advocate with the Elite situation because I've enjoyed it.
And I'm glad that I'm glad that you did mention that because I mean this is dating back 4 or 5 years. I mean JR even said on Grill and JR eventually like he explained here's why I call not just Jungle Boy, I call him Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Eventually he's going to grow up. It works for this moment now. But eventually, he as a person is going to change. He as a character is going to change. So, I may not necessarily. I mean, it's not like I'm going to guarantee that we're calling him Jungle Man or anything like that. But there is a method to the madness of eventually he's going to grow up. And I admire and I applaud them for for taking a very crummy situation with CM Punk, and we don't necessarily know the ins and outs of how long Perry was suspended, what that relationship looked like with Tony Khan, or kind of how the decision was made that he's going to go to Japan and test out this new character. But it did do their best to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I also would not have played that footage because there's nothing you can follow up on. It popped the rating for a week. And again, I mean, unless you are an advertiser, I don't think as fans we need to give two shits about what the ratings actually do because it shouldn't impact our ability to enjoy the product. That's just me.
Jungle Man, I love it. Someone has to be Jungle Man from now on. Like there has to be a Jungle Man. I can't live without it now. I just love it.
I think Jay Gold found his Halloween costume for next year. You got it. You got it. You Jungle Man.
I can stop wearing my Sandman outfit from 1996 and I can become Jungle Man. It'll work.
Gentlemen, moving on, we've got Will Ospreay taking on Jungle Man Jay Gold. There's your new nickname.
Oh man, do I love that? You
two new nicknames christened tonight. I like it. I like it.
It's so good.
So next up, we've got Will Ospreay taking on Kyle Fletcher, the inevitable split that we have been waiting for ages. I personally think that they have executed this to perfection. You definitely want to slow burn Ospreay leaving the Don Callis family. I have said it on our show. Follow us at Junkies Pod. I see Kyle Fletcher as a future AEW World Champion, and this is a step in that right direction. Even as we're getting ready for our year-end awards, Will Ospreay has a category unto his own here. This is another match that is going to be added to that. Loverboy, I'm starting with you. Your thoughts on this match?
So this match, obviously, I have been vocal. I love it's kind of like a younger brother, older brother situation. I love those types of feuds because it it kind of dives even further past what you see on character. You kind of get into that mindset, which I enjoy about any wrestling feud, is like trying to break down like actual mindsets of what the wrestlers are going through and everything. I know that's pretty nerdy stuff, but I enjoy that stuff. The Kyle Fletcher shaving his head on live TV, that hit really hard for me. I know a lot of people gave him a lot of shit because he looks weird with the buzz cut, but he's supposed to.
I like it. I'm a fan.
Screaming like a psychopath, I am not you. It was very cool to see. I want Kyle Fletcher to win this. It doesn't hurt Will Ospreay, and you kind of almost have to take advantage of this Kyle Fletcher, like new character that he has going on. You can make him into an egomaniac after he beats Will Ospreay, and if it keeps the feud going, it keeps the feud going. It just means we get more Fletcher versus Ospreay matches.
Yeah. And I think if Kyle Fletcher does get the win here, this I think would only be the third AEW loss for Ospreay. Lost to Swerve, and then lost the International Championship to MJF. So if you make these losses mean something, especially like we've seen with Gunther, on the flip side in WWE, people can benefit. Kyle Fletcher is another one of those guys. Like I said, I've said it on our show, and go back and watch us. Like Fletcher, future world champion in the making here, and it starts here tonight. Tuck, what say you?
Yeah, this one on the Mark Wrestling predictions contest is 75% in favor of Kyle Fletcher, and I am part of that 75%. I think this is a make or break match for Kyle Fletcher, honestly. If they've put so much stock into him and he loses now, what happens? We already know Will Ospreay's incredible, and I don't think he needs to beat Kyle Fletcher to remain Will Ospreay. So I am going with 75% of the votes. I'm going with Kyle Fletcher. If people want to join in on that, bit.ly/fullgear24. Get your
try to take my title.
Yeah, there's a lot of tied cards with you, Ian, right now. So if Ian ties, he retains. That's the champion's advantage in the predictions contest. bit.ly/fullgear24.
Wait, there's an actual belt. I believe that I've won one of those predictions contests before. Ain't nobody said that there was a belt to go with it.
Oh no, you have
neither.
Ian owns a toy belt. Ian owns it, and it's convenient that he's the current champion.
It's not a toy, sir. This thing weighs about 1.2 ounces. That's pretty heavy for my shoulder.
I think I bought it for you.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
All right,
there we go.
Mine's bigger.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got the toy copy. My good one is right behind me.
Jay Gold, what say you?
Kyle Fletcher has to win. He has to. There is nothing that he will do. Please don't fall into that AEW where they get really hot on a guy and then he loses and he's gone. Kyle Fletcher has to win. This is a match that I really, really like. I love Ospreay. Doesn't need the win. Kyle Fletcher has to win. You want to get new fans. You want to get new talent. Another thing, like with turning Max into something else, you want Kyle Fletcher. You spent all this time. You had him shave his head. Now win. Get the win. Establish yourself. Bam. You have a whole new guy to plug into every single title feud, every single upper main card match. He has to win. He has to win. Yeah. If not, what are we doing?
Well said. Ian, we got your pick correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah, Goldfish brand over here. Sorry.
I just want to point out too, based on Kyle's comment earlier, he said yours was bigger than mine. I am happy to bring mine. When we meet again next time in person, we can compare sizes in person. Deal?
Weird.
We really got to work on your phrasing. Anyway. I mean, and that's it's awfully flattering, but I am seeing somebody, and he is watching. So next up, we got Skate Takeshita taking on Ricochet for the International Championship here. Takeshita is a guy that, and this just drives the podcast stat up a wall because it seems like it has taken forever for them to finally get him to this point that he's at right now. And it's nice to see he's going to get a great match out of Ricochet. Ricochet is getting to wrestle that indie style that he didn't necessarily get to let loose in WWE as much. So this is going to be equal parts flippy floppy, equal parts strong style. So in the spirit of size comparison here, Ian, you're next.
This match is kind of like it was thrown together last second. It kind of does feel like it. They've been showing it on screen, but honestly, it's one of those AEW matches. Like it's gonna be really good. It's getting to that point of the Ricochet AEW run already for me, at least. It's like, why? It doesn't feel right anymore. The presentation doesn't feel right. He should be presented as a $1 million player, in my opinion. He's one of those guys, not as a superhero thing that didn't work in WWE, and it's not working now. So I don't know. I feel weird about it. I would like Ricochet to win that title just to, at least have matches and he could defend the title. I mean, that's very basic AEW kind of storytelling, if you could say, and just defending the title nonstop. But at the same time, Takeshita, if he retains, builds him even more. But at the same time, Takeshita is a guy that should be going for the world title. Obviously, that world title is in some situation where he will not be able to do that. But give me Ricochet as new champ. Just for I don't know why. Yeah, as Kyle said, give Ricochet a purpose. Exactly.
Yeah, Jay Gold.
I'm gonna do the opposite there. I think Takeshita needs to hold on, and I do think it was the beginning of the end for Ricochet when he came out in pants and he put his kick pads under the pants, so it looked ridiculous. Ricochet's supposed to look like a superhero, look like one. He's supposed to fly around. You're supposed to see tone, and his body's supposed to kind of sell itself. When he was Prince Puma, all those things. The problem is Takeshita. See, you're gonna end up doing the same thing that you would do to Kyle Fletcher to Takeshita. If Takeshita loses, what do you do now? If Kyle Fletcher loses, what do you do now? Ricochet is Ricochet. He'll always be Ricochet. If he wants to come back and challenge again, they have him win like 3 in a row. And he's like, I learned my lesson the first time. I'm coming back again. So I think Takeshita, you're going to run the risk of, again, that wash. He's going to get caught up in the wash, and you're going to be like, well, where did he go? So if it was up to me, I would give it to him and have Don Callis somehow get involved and cost Ricochet, and then you'll see Ricochet again in a match like that. But I think it's too early to start that. WWE fell into that hole like in the 2000s when a guy would debut and they would just throw a belt on him. Like Cade and Murdoch, they won the tag titles the first night. Yeah. Carlito won the U.S. title the first night. Mr. Kennedy
and the Intercontinental title the first night on Raw. Yeah,
right. So you run into that if you're gonna, you don't need to give it to Ricochet. He can lose in some sort of way, and then you can have Takeshita continue on because all that time Takeshita has been built. You're just gonna throw. Where does he go after that? My question is always with these guys: where are they going? Who's comfortable? Are you gonna throw Takeshita in a feud against Moxley? No. Not right now. So what are you supposed to do with him after he loses? He gets caught up in the wash and he just becomes another name. So keep him like that. Ricochet's name is already built. Have Takeshita win.
Yeah, and Kyle, if you could, put that last comment up just once again. Kyle Fletcher, I'm hoping they don't make him the next Alex Riley. Right now, there just really isn't anything to suggest that that's kind of where they're headed with this. Again, even though Will Ospreay, this is a much bigger match for Kyle Fletcher than it is Will Ospreay. I think everybody knows that. But Kyle Fletcher now has the benefit of being the top dog in the Don Callis family. Having Will Ospreay leaves means that they can also look at other talent that they can bring into that group, because one Will Ospreay leaving means that there are 2 or 3 other names that you can consider as allies or associates of this family down the line that will benefit from that rub of having probably one of the best managers in wrestling right now behind you, and a guy like Kyle Fletcher getting this win, solidifies him as top dog of that group, even with a Takeshita in the fold here, which is going to be really interesting, because eventually that's a story that you can spin off from this that will benefit both people involved here. See, we're critical of AEW, but we don't shit talk them. Tuck, is it your turn already? I forgot that fucking quickly.
Yes, I'm going with Takeshita in this one. I agree. I think I don't have much else to add other than what Jay Gold said. I think keep the gold on Takeshita because it keeps him hot, and Ricochet is Ricochet. You know what you're going to get. And at any moment, Ricochet could spring up the card and grab some gold and run with it. And they know what they have with Ricochet. They have to continue to building Takeshita, who just got a ringside exclusive figure that I'm hoping will go on sale sometime soon.
Ooh, swanky.
I don't want to pay full price. It's expensive.
Gentlemen, we are on to our main event. Before we get into our predictions, once again, make sure you're following the Main Event Network at mainevent_net. If you want great live podcasts, blogs, fan art, memes, you name it, we have it. We don't believe in tribalism. I hope that people can see that by now in the last 75 minutes of how we have enjoyed talking about the stories that are going on right now. That doesn't mean that they're fucking perfect. Doesn't mean that we're not allowed to have our thoughts on them, but we're not actively shit talking. And if anybody thinks that we are, there's a lot of grass out there in the world. I suggest you go touch it. Gentlemen, make sure you're following at Junkies Pod, at Pod on the Mark, and at IW Guide 1. Again, these are kind of the holy trinity of the podcast of the Main Event Wrestling Network. Check us out live every single week. Incredible group of people that we have working with us. Also, brand new Vicious Rants just dropped this past week. Make sure you're following our friend Tim Vicious as well. Gentlemen, main event time. Jon Moxley taking on Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship. This is, I feel like this is, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the one match that it feels like could truly go either way here tonight. We have seen Jon Moxley return and has this new attitude shift and wanting to take over the TBS network, a very unhinged sort of personality that we're seeing more so than we have before. Ian, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on this match and your prediction.
I like what they did with it. I like this whole story that they're putting with the Death Riders. I thoroughly do. Obviously, it puts a stranglehold on that world title, but again, it's supposed to. It's supposed to be. You're supposed to be pissed at these people. They're not supposed to be awesome title reign, title defenders. They don't even show the title. It's supposedly in a briefcase, which they don't even. We don't even know if it's in that briefcase. Supposedly, it is. And I like what they're doing with it. You have Orange Cassidy kind of being the front runner of the younger talent, faces talent. I don't think he's going to win it tonight. I think they still have more of a story to tell with the Death Riders. Maybe they have some more wrenches to throw into the mix. I'm not sure, but let's keep building the heat on him because if we're bringing up the whole idea of we want the heels versus faces of AEW in an all-out war, as Jon Moxley has said, it's a war. I think there's one guy for the job, and he's kind of that next generation, even though he's a little bit older in the mix. But Will Ospreay, I don't know how you get there. I don't know how long that's going to take, but have him be that flag bearer of taking the title off Jon Moxley, finally ending the Death Riders, whenever that is. And again, that could be a long time from now, or it could be a Tony Khan. All right, pull the plug and have Will Ospreay come straight into it. Obviously, Will Ospreay has his own thing with Don Callis, but the Don Callis family. But eventually, that's where I'd like to see it go, because the only person that could be taking off that title from Jon Moxley, in my eyes, is the top babyface, which is, again, wrestling. That's not a not a foreign idea. It's pretty much how it should be.
Yeah. Tuck?
I'm going Moxley as well. I don't know if public opinion thinks this one is as split as you do, Eric. I think it's got to be Moxley because I think they're really leaning into the AEW versus the Moxley faction here, realistically, and I like it because the fall is distinctly Survivor Series. That this group on group, faction on faction. What's going to happen? Mix it up. And the results of it are going to put us on the road towards, well, for WWE, it would be the Rumble in the road to WrestleMania. And for AEW, it's Worlds Collide. And then the turnover to 2025, which I think they're looking for growth. And I think Moxley is the guy you want the title on as you head into this new chapter for AEW that I'm optimistic for. I think they were very critical of a lack of storytelling for a long time, and now they might be cramming too many stories in at once at times. There's a lot to keep up with, which for a fan like Ian is a great problem to have. And I've enjoyed it so far. I think it's going to be a great match, but I think Moxley's got to win it.
Jay Gold?
All right, here's going to be something a little controversial. I do not think that the finish has anything to do with the match. Here's the thing. This is AEW. This is one of their big pay-per-views. This thing with the Death Riders has been going on. This is a vehicle to get over whatever is going to happen after the match tonight. Something is going to happen. Someone is coming. You can only beat Orange Cassidy so much. I love Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Please, God, no more beating on Orange Cassidy. Like, I love Orange Cassidy is your face. Like, he can go anywhere. You could send him and he does weather on like a local news channel. Like, Orange Cassidy, you don't have to do that. So I think the match is a vehicle to get over what is coming after. Yes, Mox is winning. Yes, fine. The vehicle, we have to find out what this, oh God, I'm going to date myself, the higher power is. What the hell is pushing what is pushing a Death Riders like resurgence with all these guys? What is forcing them to try to clean up AEW, blah, blah, blah? That will become the vehicle for what happens at the end. Yes, I definitely think Orange Cassidy is going to bleed. I think he's going to put on a match. Everyone's going to be pumping for him because we love Orange Cassidy. In the end, he's going to get pinned. I'm not shitting on AEW, but I'm telling you what I see. They use that pinfall. Orange Cassidy rolls out. They forget that he was in this feud. Here comes the big reveal at the end. That's kind of how a lot of their pay-per-views have gone, where the guy who's lost kind of gets pushed out to the side, and then here comes Edge's music. Here comes this guy's music. Here comes that guy's music. That's where I think it's going to happen, and you're going to see something show up at the end here.
And to your point there, I think Edge could be the leader of that charge, a la Will Ospreay and Ian's comment as well.
Yeah, I think I brought that up in the last episode of OTM.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Copeland, Eck could be speaking out of turn, but I think his injury timeline, it would kind of make sense for him to at least show his face. Not get in the ring for a little while, but try to gather up the troops per se with the faces of the company.
Really? That would upset me. I don't get. Unfortunately, Christian is the guy who came out of that team as he's gotten older as the guy. Edge is just not doing it for me. I think there's got to be somebody's pulling the strings for the Death Riders, and if you don't give that payoff to people, they're going to start to lose interest. Yeah. So give me who it is.
Yeah.
The thing is, and especially as we are still kind of figuring it, because we still don't really know a whole lot about the end game for the Death Riders, what it is that they want out of life and their general, just kind of discernment of the AEW landscape right now. If Shane McMahon does show up tonight, that might make me angry enough to taste and smell colors, and I have no desire to see that. I hope that Orange Cassidy does not become an afterthought in a loss in this match. I mean, again, I don't think it can be ruled out as far as Orange Cassidy winning the title here, just because 5 years ago when AEW started, there was all of the thoughts about who the four pillars of AEW were. Jack Perry, MJF, Sammy Guevara. I think people would throw Britt Baker in there sometimes as well. Legitimately right now, outside of MJF, Orange Cassidy is one of those pillars. I mean, when it comes to true workhorses in the company right now, it's Moxley and it's Orange Cassidy. And I think because of how well Orange Cassidy has been protected during the entirety of his AEW run, it cannot be ruled out that he walks out with the world title tonight. My prediction is Jon Moxley, because I think that there's still that next chapter to be told here, but I'm not willing to go so far as to say that this is the last time that Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley mix it up for the world title. I just think that this feud has gotten too personal and too bloody for this to just be a one-off here. I think that Kyle also put in the other chat here, Darby is another one of those pillars who I will also consider as well. So MJF, Darby, Orange Cassidy, and there's certainly a discussion that can be had for the fourth one at a later date.
You may get Darby tonight too. You may get him poking he may get involved if the rest of the Death Riders get involved. Yeah. So you may have all those pillars like working together, but I think it's all in the end. It's not going to mean Orange Cassidy win. That's just
no. And a lot of we're getting some comments from a certain someone, which his comments are not great quality. But thank you, Shady BTV. We don't care about the ratings. We care about what we see on the television, what we actually enjoy. But thank you for commenting. Anyway, people are talking about Orange Cassidy being a jobber, as Shady BTV says. He's not a jobber. The
No,
guy
no.
held that.
That's not what I
Intercontinental-
mean. Yeah,
Right,
No,
yeah,
no.
absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
we know that you don't. Yeah. No, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, again, one of the long. Like he's one of those guys that, especially during his international title reign,
Yeah.
was tired, was beat up. There were injuries that were outside of the company's control that they had to go back to him to putting that title on. I don't think, if Moxley hadn't gotten that concussion that Podcast Dad and I were present for in Cincinnati a couple of years, I think it was like last year before, Orange Cassidy would have gotten some time off to kind of recharge the batteries. But no, he put that division back on his back and has done a phenomenal job of that sense. So, I wouldn't consider Orange Cassidy a jobber by any stretch of the imagination. He is one of the most protected guys on the roster. This is a good opportunity for him, and he will be world champion. I'm not entirely sure that it will be tonight as far as my prediction goes, but it would not surprise me if it did happen.
And another thing, too, that is kind of fun to think about is, like we said, it's AEW versus this new faction of the Death Riders. Orange Cassidy kind of feels like the one person in a movie that's like an inevitable, you're probably going to lose this fight, but it's that honorable fight against the worst evil possible. Like in a movie or a film, or in this case, the wrestling ring, Orange Cassidy feels like that guy that's like, I'm going to go fight. I'm probably going to lose, but I'm going to go out there and put my heart on my chest and fight. And that's what it feels like to me as well. Obviously, on paper, this new Jon Moxley is the pinnacle of violence, and I mean, he's putting bags over people's heads. Orange Cassidy is not that kind of guy. He's wearing black now, cool. It's just showing that there's a little bit more edge to it. He means business, but we know in the back of our mind he's probably going to get killed. And that's not a bad thing on Orange Cassidy. That just shows how violent the Death Riders are in this new push. They feel inevitable. Yeah. They feel like juggernauts.
Yeah. Another good example, Cody did a lot of the same thing during his feud with Brody Lee. As far
and
as
Malachi Black, too.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's a change in the character. It's a change in the presentation to reflect, what's going on TV. It's just, again, that attention to detail from a psychological standpoint that makes the product interesting as hell to watch. So, gentlemen, I think that we're in for a fun show tonight. We got a few minutes before 0 hour is about to begin, but thank you to everybody that is watching. Make sure that you follow us at mainevent_net across all social media platforms for all things Main Event Wrestling Network. And thank you to our friends at Gorilla Press Apparel. Head over to gorillapressapparel.bigcartel.com and use promo code MEM24 for 10% off your order site-wide. If you are a wrestler, referee, promoter, you need some merch for those tables on the weekends, hit up Will on X at Gorilla Press APP. He is accepting commissions right now. If you have not been to the site, Gary J's Unsigned and Don't Care t-shirts are flying off of the shelves, so do not miss out on your chance to collab with one of the best wrestling clothing companies in the game today. Make sure you're following all of our podcasts as well, at Junkies Pod, at Pod on the Mark, and at IW Guide 1. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Enjoy the show. Be safe. Have fun. Thank you both. Full-time, part-timer. I can't tell.
Just one thing. I just want to give a quick shout out. Yes. So we have a giveaway that is going to be going on for Pod on the Mark. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. By the way, this is probably the highest viewed Main Event Mixer, so can only go up as well from here.
That's J Gold numbers right there, baby.
J Gold debut.
That's what happens. Yep. I bring them in by the truckload.
Needle mover.
I got one of those walls with all the cell phones on it, and I'm just pushing subscribe all over it.
Yep.
Speaking of subscribe, that giveaway that I am talking about, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us. It's completely free to do. You get notifications. We are weekly with podcasts, but follow us once we hit 400 subscribers at Pod on the Mark, as it's spelled there down at the ticker. We are giving away what Tuck?
I got a signed Rey Mysterio figure, certified, either High Spot certified or PSA Beckett certified. Both of them are certed. I've got two. I only need one. And I just, minutes ago, won a signed Kurt Angle Ultimate, and I already have a signed Kurt Angle. So we might be incentivizing a Kurt Angle here later down the road as well.
Nice.
Love it.
That's all.
Love it. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining me tonight. Be on the lookout for the next Main Event Mixer. Thank you guys so much for Jay Gold, for Jim Tucker, for the full-time part-timers / lover boy. Thank you all for joining us so very much. This has been the 14th Main Event Mixer. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you soon.